Did Ducati build the most entertaining and capable street-legal supermoto? We're here with the Hypermotard 698 Mono and 698 Mono RVE to find out. All right, folks, here we are at a first ride event for these all-new bikes, and really what is a new era for Ducati. An era that will prominently feature this, the new Super Quattro Mono single-cylinder engine. Yes, Ducati is going back to building a single cylinder, and this thing is quite special. Now, why is it special? Well, because this is essentially half of a 1299 Panigale V-twin engine. A lot of the internal components here are pulled directly from that big V-twin, including a massively over-square engine that makes 77.5 horsepower at about 9,700 RPM and 46.5 pound-feet of torque at 8,000 RPM. Now, power is one thing, but the chassis is another, and Ducati has gone all in building a completely new chassis for these bikes with an extreme focus on weight. At about 333 pounds dry. That's about 9 pounds more than Husky, KTM, and Gas models. Now, geometry is also very similar to those competing models, but where this bike differs is in the wheelbase. It is about an inch shorter. So why is Ducati doing that? Well, they want a bike that still has that precision and stability to it, but is a lot of fun. I mean, that is what this category is all about. Now, what you're not really seeing elsewhere in the category is a really expansive electronic suite. So you've got 4 ride modes, you've got lean angle sensitive assist for traction control, you've got Ducati wheelie control, you've got engine brakes, and you've got ABS. There are 4 levels of ABS with what Ducati calls slide by brake. And now that is going to adjust the ABS parameters depending on the mode that you're in to allow you to slide this bike into the corner, full supermoto style. On this RVE model here, you do get a bi-directional quick shifter standard and this graffiti livery, which includes these special looking wheels there. Now, pricing on this is about $14,500, whereas the base model is going to retail for $13,000. Now, what are these things like to ride? Of course, this is going to be super cliche, but the first word that comes to mind is fun. What Ducati is really trying to do here is build a package that is both user-friendly for a newer rider, bringing them into the Ducati brand, but also having something that a professional rider can go out and train with at their local kart track. This thing jumps off of a corner. It's a lot of fun, especially in sport mode. You've got a really direct throttle response. Okay, it's a little bit aggressive, but it just gives this thing so much personality. Now, I really see this engine being used in other platforms down the road because it is just a ton of fun. It's got a lot of potential to it. It will be interesting to get this thing out on the street because one thing that Ducati has done is made a tall first gear. That's going to make it so you don't have to shift coming out of a tight corner. That makes it so you have to slip the clutch and roll the gas on quite a bit when you're leaving a stop. But for the most part, that is really the only thing we notice as a negative in this power plant. I should also say that this has dual counterbalancers, just like what you're going to see in the competition, and that helps this thing be really smooth. Moving over to the chassis with that tall suspension and wheelbase, and what I really did notice is in some of the big, faster corners, you have a lot of feel from the front end. You get the thing leaned over and you can just keep cranking the thing over because you've got a really good feel at the contact pad. Speaking of front end feel, it is probably one of my favorite aspects of the bike, especially on the brakes. Coming into a tight corner, it is really impressive how hard you can get on those binders and dive the thing into the corner and really actually ride this thing like a proper supermoto. Of course, the big thing here is that you do have that electronics package to back you up. And I especially like that slide by brake. Now, depending on the level that you're in, allowing you to step the bike out a certain amount as you get into the corner. The only thing that we did notice from an electronic standpoint is that that dash is still quite small. Yes, it is nicer than anything else you're going to find in this category. That just makes it to where it takes a little bit of time to get used to adjusting settings in this smaller display. You got to roll through a menu and then press a button here on the left side of the handlebar to make sure you're changing the settings that you want for each of those electronic rider aids. Now, because it is a supermoto, there are going to be some limitations. We've only ridden this bike at a kart track. It's going to be a little different story when you get into town. But hey, I don't think this is something that you're going to buy and do a ton of miles on. What they are for is having a good time. You've got a package that is truly impressive, especially when you consider that this is Ducati's first attempt at building something with that new single-cylinder engine, and something that is a little bit of a departure from the larger displacement Hypermotards elsewhere in its lineup. If you're shopping for a street-legal supermoto, you should definitely give these things a look. Now, they will be in dealers soon, and we are excited to see what you do with them. Thanks for tuning in to our first ride review of the new Hypermotard 698 Monos. Be sure to click the like button, drop a comment if you've got any questions about this bike, and don't forget to head over to cycleworld.com to read our full review. Thanks guys for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.